All right, and we're back. Fun little transition there. So if you each would start by introducing yourselves, talking about where you're from, what you're studying, and why you came to KU.
Okay. Well, my name is Ayrton Janjachi. I'm from Peru, and this is my third year in college. I study mechanical engineering, and I came to KU because of engineering and cars. And there is a team called Jayhawk Motorsports in KU. They do Formula cars, and that's what got me really excited about KU.
Hi, my name is Rahul Raghavan. I'm from India. First of all, thanks a lot for joining this session. I joined KU because I wanted my MBA, that is a Master's in Business Administration. I used to work in India a few years before, and then I got to know about KU, being one of the best universities, like Shannon mentioned, it's in the top 10. And it's been an exciting journey so far. I'm waiting for all the questions.
Wonderful. So if you each could talk off or start off talking about what do you think it is that makes KU unique or special for students?
Well, I will say the campus. The campus, it's beautiful. It compared to my city, the university, it's so different. It's a green area, so many buildings, so big, and especially also the buses that take you for free if you're a KU student. I really like the campus.
For me, what makes KU stand out compared to many of the other universities is Lawrence is one of the best university towns. If you're going to any of the other big universities, the city will be known for other things, but Lawrence, it's all about KU. So you will definitely stand out if you're going to the town. As well as KU has one of the most diverse crowd in the world. We have students from all across the globe. We see right now itself, I'm from India and he's from somewhere else. So every single time when we are meeting someone, he'll be from a different nation. So it's really awesome.
Very nice. So let's talk a little bit about your academic programs. I know you're in very different programs and at different levels of study. So we'll start on the undergraduate side. So if you could kind of talk about what you're studying and kind of what your classes are like.
Okay, so I'm engineering, and this is my third year in college. But when you start as an engineer, you take math, physics, chemistry, and you will have to take these classes with all the other engineers, even if you're mechanical, chemical, electrical, computer science, or even undecided. So you will have time to meet all the other engineers when you're a freshman. And as time passes by, you will go further into your academic majors. You will have to take classes like I take about engines, about mechanical process. But I think the first year of college, you have the chance to meet students from all over, from all engineering. And it's great.
Like I mentioned before, I'm from the KU Business School and I'm doing my Master's in Business Administration. So the best thing that I found after coming here for the first time was in my class, every student, they have like really diverse background altogether. So we have engineers, we have people from English major, we have people from who have done their major in history. So it will never happen like you will feel that you are from the same place where we came from or in the same background. So you can learn a lot other than from whatever you are majoring in. As well as the faculties, they are really good. We have one of the best faculties among all the universities in the US, so definitely that stands apart.
Now, when you first came to KU and started in your academic classes, what was different for you than your previous educational experiences? Was there anything that was new or different about your classes, and how did you kind of adapt to the differences in the classroom instruction?
Well, usually in Peru, the university itself, it's a small building. There are more buildings, no campus. So the classes are quite small. I remember my first class was in Budic 110, and I think it was about 600, no, not that much. I think 200 people. It was my chemistry class. And I never been in a class with more than 100 people since I came to KU. And it's when you enter to the class and you see so many people, you will think, I'm not gonna learn anything. But what I like of KU is the professors have this thing called office hours, where if you didn't understand anything or you have any problems with the course, you can go to his office hours and talk with him personally.
For me, being an international student, the biggest difference was education was really interactive, as well as it was more of a continuous learning, rather than you continue with your learning and towards the end you are having your final exam. Here it's more of periodic performance rather than whatever you're doing in the final exam. As well as the professors, like I mentioned before, they are really, really friendly. It's not just about the classroom learning, it's also about how you interact with them outside. You can get to do a lot of research with them as well. And from your fellow students, of course, it's more of a combined study rather than individual learning, which you might have come across when you were in your home country.
Great. Now, kind of along those same lines, what are some of the academic enrichment opportunities here at KU, maybe even especially ones that you've been involved with? So you mentioned the Jayhawk Motorsports and potentially research. So what are some examples of things that either you or your friends have been able to do outside of the classroom that still relates to their academic program?
Well, yeah, as an undergraduate student, you might think you don't have that much experience to join research, but actually in KU, it's really good KU because they offer this opportunity to you. There are some student organizations in engineering, for example, like Jayhawk Motorsports, that allow you to help this team even if you don't know anything about what they are working on. They call this volunteering, and it's free. You can join them every week, and if you really like it, they will call you for next year. So I like these thing opportunities that if you don't know what you're looking for as an engineer, for example, you have time to go to these organizations.
From the perspective of graduate education, KU is known as one of the best research universities in the US. So we get to work with with the best professors in the US. And being a MBA student doing my graduate, I was lucky enough to get a fellowship from one of the local companies here. A lot of my friends from my class as well, they have got the opportunities to do in diverse fields of research and working with one of the best professors who are known for the particular field, whatever they're good at. And it depends on what exactly you're looking for. So there are a lot of opportunities. It's all about whether you want to grab it or not.
Great. Now, since you are involved in things both academically, outside the classroom, trying to have a social life, how have you been able to balance all of those different activities? And kind of what is maybe your weekly schedule look like?
Oh yeah, it's always difficult to balance classes and the social activities and organizations. But I think one of the best ways to organize your time is go to the library a lot. KU offers you 3 libraries, I think more than that, but there are 3 really big libraries where you can go. And if you don't have a computer with you, you can still go because they give you they have computers there, they have printing. And if you organize your time to study on the week, then you do your social events on the weekend, I think you will succeed.
For me, one of the biggest losses I feel in my life is that I didn't come to KU for my undergrad. And I feel some of you are really lucky for that. After I'm meeting all the students who are doing their undergrad, they're having a lot of fun, along with they're doing really good in their academics as well. So it's a mix of everything. It's not just whether you're having really good social life and you're doing bad in your academics. It's a good mix of both. And since we have a really diverse crowd from everywhere, you'll ultimately make sure that you're doing well in both. And there are a lot of opportunities. Again, like I told, it's one of the best university towns, so there are really good places to hang out, as well as really good facilities within KU, where you can spend your time studying as well as enjoying your life as well.
So what is it that you enjoy about KU that's a little bit unique? So maybe what's your favorite KU tradition? Maybe is a better way of asking that question that you've experienced since being here.
Well, I will say the sports. Probably if you search, KU has a football team and a basketball team. Actually, I'm wearing my football t-shirt. And I remember in the first week of classes we have this football game, and we sing a KU chant, and it's really nice because all the students are wearing KU shirts, and some of them hold their hands like this, and they start singing KU chant. It's a really nice experience, and I think that's the one I like most.
Now, if you are a basketball fan, then KU is the place to be. And if you're not, even then KU is the place to be. For me, basketball was all about Michael Jordan before I came to the US, but now it's way beyond that. Like some of you basketball fans, KU has the tradition of basketball, and it was the place where the game of basketball was invented. So the first time when I entered the Allen Fieldhouse, which is like the mecca of basketball in the world, I could see an overall tradition, and you'll be part of it, even though you don't know anything much about basketball. And be a sports fan. If you're not, come to KU.
Now, you guys are both pretty social people, but what advice do you have for people who might be concerned about making friends once they arrive or fitting in? How do you recommend people overcome those challenges, or what resources are there at KU to help people who might be a little bit shy?
Well, I think one of the best solution is the International Student Association. I belong to this International Student Association, and I think it's an organization which actually is there for you. There are many students who are shy, maybe they are starting to getting to know new people or to getting accustomed to the USA life. This organization is the best because it gives you events where you can meet people from all over the world. We have the same program as you. And personally, when I was a freshman, I joined this organization, and I've been there for 3 years. I think this organization gave me the leadership that I have now.
For me, like I mentioned, I'm from India, so I had never met anyone from outside India throughout my academic career. So I came to the US like 8 months back, and from that time I've had friends from over 30 countries, so that is a big deal. So you might think like it's really tough to interact with different cultures, but trust me, it is not at all difficult. It's one of the easiest things if you're coming to KU. And you will get to know the advantages of that when you're moving out of KU. Go to any cities in this world, there will be a basketball pub there where all the Jayhawks are the students from KU, they'll be together. And the only thing that kind of unites them together is sports, athletics, basketball. Just be there, tell like you're from KU, and everyone will be there for you. So don't worry about that.
Speaking of the Jayhawk, you have one floating above your head
Yeah.
right back there. So sometimes when I'm traveling, I get asked, what is that? I'm like, it's our mascot. That's the Jayhawk. So people who come here become very familiar with.
And we have one of the
Jayhawk.
best mascots, and
Yeah,
it's the traditions are really great if you come to KU.
Yeah, definitely. So as far as you both talked about Lawrence and really enjoying Lawrence and the opportunities here. So what is maybe your favorite thing to do in Lawrence in your downtime when you're not in classes?
well, something I personally like to do is, especially in spring and fall, I like to ride a bike around the campus and go to downtown. Downtown is 5 minutes from campus by bus and 10 minutes walking, but by bike it's around 7 minutes. And I just like the idea of when you finish classes and if you're hungry and you want to eat different kind of foods, you can go to downtown area and you can find food from India that is called India Palace. I really like this restaurant, best food. You have food from Latin America, you have food, Italian food, of course, Chinese food, and I think the Thailand food. Mass Street is a place to go if you wanna take all your stress out.
Lawrence being one of the best university towns, the best thing about Lawrence is people just love you so much if you're from KU. So the first time when I came to the US, I had like a lot of stereotypes about how people will treat me, whether I'll find it really difficult to be someone from outside, but they just grab us with both their hands and they just love you so much if you're telling like you're from KU. So my major time pass when I'm not doing my studies would be to go out and meet the local Lawrence community. and get to know more about the US culture. And even they just love to learn more about what you are or the culture at your place. And you'll have a lot of friends if you're coming here. So you can generally hang out with them. You can go to downtown, like you mentioned. The best place here is Massachusetts Street, or also known as Mass Street, where there are a lot of wonderful restaurants. Evening is the place to be because everybody from KU will be there. So you'll have a wonderful time if you're at Lawrence.
Now, the state of Kansas itself is not exactly known to be glamorous. I know a lot of people, because I travel to recruit, so sometimes they ask, where is Kansas? Or, is it by the coasts and all that? So sometimes people aren't as aware of the state of Kansas itself. So what is something that has surprised you about living in Kansas since you've moved here?
Well, I think that's true. Actually, before I applied to KU, I didn't know that Kansas was a state. And when you know about United States, I bet you know about New York, Miami, California, San Francisco, those cities. And if you search Kansas, what is Kansas? Well, but luckily I got here and I changed all my mind about Kansas. Even though it's in the middle of the United States, and it's good because if you want to travel, maybe on spring break or fall break, you're in the middle, so you can travel to any part of the United States. You can go to Chicago, which is 8 hours by bus. You can go to the West Coast, California. You can go to the East Coast, or you can go to the South. And that's the thing that I like about Kansas. The other thing I like about Kansas is it's a really, some people say it's flat, but actually I think Lawrence is not flat. If you come here, you see the campus, there are so many hills, and I think it's interesting because when you get to the top of the hill, you can see all the KU campus and then I think the border of Kansas.
For me, the thing that surprised me the first time I came to Kansas was how beautiful the campus is. I have to agree to that. I've been to some of the other university campuses. KU is one of the most beautiful campus. And like she told before, even I wasn't too much aware about Kansas. And the funny thing was when I told all my friends and relatives, they were like, Kansas, okay, is it in Europe? Or I was not really sure. And even I didn't have much question. And once I reached here, what I realized is Kansas is in the heart of the US because it's right at the center. But even the people here, they are actually the heart of the US. They really grab you. They just love you so much. So, and also Kansas City, which is the closest city from Lawrence, it's around 45 minutes from here. It's part of the Silicon Prairie. That's like the second Silicon Valley of the US. So the best thing about that is it is one of the biggest growing cities in the United States. And so we have a lot of big companies that are coming there, and you'll have a lot of opportunities if you are looking towards your career opportunities after your graduation as well. So don't get scared and stay back when you're thinking, oh, it's Kansas, I'm not really aware. You have a lot of opportunities here.
Wonderful. Now we actually had a question come in from a student who's joined us in the chat. And the student is interested in engineering. So if we could maybe just do a quick detour and maybe you could talk more about your experiences in the School of Engineering and just, some of those opportunities there, what's maybe a little bit different at the KU School of Engineering and maybe some other universities.
Okay. Well, KU Engineering, personally, I think it's not the best of it's the best engineering you can have as an undergraduate. You have so many opportunities to start, even if you're a freshman or you're a sophomore. Engineering here has its own building, and actually they are building one new more building, so it's growing up. It's really big. I like the computer lab because we call it fishbowl. It's like a big lab with really big windows that let the sun enter. What I like of engineering too is you have free printing. It's something KU students you have $8 to print, but KU engineering you can print as many as you want. And also what I like of engineering is the library is open 24 hours. So if you want to do homework, 2 a.m., 3 a.m., 11 a.m., you can go to engineering. Talking about academics, engineering offer you so many choices of classes. You have these things called elective engineering classes, which if you are not sure what you're gonna do, even if you know your major, you can still take a class of other engineering. Like, for example, I'm in mechanical engineering, and I can take an elective class on aerodynamics, for example, which is really cool. If you are always being interested in other career, but you are with your major, you can still do this.
Great. And in fairness to business, why don't you go ahead and talk about some of the things about the school of business that you think are
Okay.
unique?
To start off with, I did not have my undergrad in business. I was an engineer
Oh,
before.
right. Yeah.
So,
That works too.
so I have like diverse background. So the first time I came here, I noticed the engineering department. So I'll just mention probably
Sure,
a minute
go
on
ahead.
engineering department as well. It has one of the best buildings in KU. So if you're coming for engineering, this is a place to be. And they have wonderful departments for computer science and aerospace, to name a few. They have a diverse group of students like some of the other departments as well. Um, then from my perspective, from the business perspective, when I came here, the one thing that I noticed is from career perspective, if you're looking for engineering, some of the really big companies come here for recruitment, and engineering department is the one where the students get maximum opportunities compared to most of the other departments. And even from the business school, when I'm looking to it, I have a lot of advantage having an engineering background. So they have separate career fairs for engineering and business. So that means if you're coming to the engineering department, then you have a lot of opportunities. Now, from the business perspective, I'll talk from the graduate perspective because I'm not really aware of how the undergrad was in the business school. But the one thing I know is the undergrad in business, they are among the best in the US, and they're in the top 30 among all the universities in the US. So that is something that we got updated recently. And I came for my MBA here. At that time, we weren't in the top 100, but over the last 2 years, thanks to a wonderful dean that we have for the business school, her name is Neeli Bandapudi. If you're coming for MBA, you have to meet her. So overall, the team has made sure that we are in the top 100 for the MBA in the world. So that is something huge. And we have some really great professors out there who have been really great in research, and they are not just focused towards academic. That's one really good thing. So if you want to get towards academic, then you have the options for that. But if you want to like pursue your education or you want to go towards research, then you have the opportunities for that as well. And we have a wonderful career cell as well, who will make sure that you are getting individual opportunities and you won't miss out among the overall group. You're going to stand out when it comes to career opportunities as well.
Wonderful. And just since you two represent some of our more popular programs on campus, so business and engineering, those are very strong at KU, and we have many students enrolled in those different programs. But as you're seeing, as Ginger's clicking through these slides here, we do have a wide variety of program opportunities available. So some of our other more popular programs include like the sciences, specifically biological sciences is one of our kind of top majors and graduate programs, as well as like psychology. We have journalism. There's actually, 190 undergraduate programs to study. So there is quite a range of options for you to explore. I just thought I'd plug those different programs too. So you mentioned career fairs and some of the career support services. So maybe each of you could address that aspect a little bit from both the undergraduate and graduate perspective of resources available to students to help with that next step after graduating.
Well, yeah, like he mentioned, career fairs are these events where companies come to the university in Kansas Union, and they have a table where they talk to you and tell them about the opportunities of internships or work or full-time work. As an undergraduate student, well, you don't have that much experience, but personally, I've been in career fairs since my freshman year, just to see how is that world of companies and employees. It's a good time if you like to dress up, if you like to put some suit, it's a good time to show. You can go there and talk to these guys, which will be the guys you will talking to when you graduate, and they will let you know what you have to do in college, so you can actually get a job or you can pursue a master's degree. So that's what I like about career fairs. Like they let you know what you have to do, so you can be successful.
For me, the first time I came to KU, I was like really worried whether I'll get a job. Being an international student, it's really tough to find a job here. But after being here for a few months, the one thing that I realized was we have wonderful alumni, and it's not just from your department. Because if you're going to some of the other universities, you might realize like if you're doing your master's in science or if you're doing your undergrad in business, you will mainly focus on the alumni from your department. But the good thing about KU is like sports and athletics, they kind of bind us really well. So I got to meet people from various departments, and if you're looking at the top management of any of the companies these days, it won't be like from a specific department as such. You might see like the CEO or the senior management of a company which is in technology. He might have his major in science or even language. So the good thing I realized is like here we get a lot of opportunities to get in touch with a lot of the senior management of several companies around the globe, and they really bind along with you or what you are going through right now, because even a lot of them, they went through similar processes whatever you are going through now. So you'll get to meet a lot of the senior management which you might not be able to if you're at probably a bigger city like in New York, or where there are a lot more universities and departments where they have to be part of. And from the career perspective or from the career fair, uh, here, the good thing is like you get a lot of individual attention being a student here, because the companies come here to KU, and KU is the only university who is part of the career fair. Because of that, the attention won't go diverse between the different universities, and there are a lot of career fairs that are focused on specific departments as well. Because of that, if you're going to a business fair, it'll just be the business students as such. And I'm pretty much sure there are career fairs for various other departments as well. And just make sure that you're like standing out whenever you're going out to meet your career prospective or your potential companies. And yeah, I mean, it's not just about whether you want to go towards corporate sector or towards research. You have opportunities for everything. It's just about identifying what exactly you want before you go for it.
Great. We had another question come in about a student wanting to improve his English.
Mm-hmm.
So, and I can address this kind of at the end, but are either of you familiar with the Applied English Center, or have any of your friends taken any classes there?
Yeah.
Yeah. Maybe just if you could briefly touch on it, and then I can kind of explain the English proficiency requirements at the end.
Sure.
If that would work.
Well, yeah. Okay. Thanks. Well, yeah. Play English Center. I actually took the exam that. So I passed exam and I didn't took AEC classes, but I do have a lot of friends who were in the Apply English Center. And one of the best ways to practice your English is, I know it's going to classes, but it's also about talking and meeting other friends from America and international students. The best way to improve your English is talking. And there are some organizations called, I think it's Global Partners, and other really good organizations that actually are there for you, so they can help you improve your English while doing events or while having fun.
So talking from the language perspective, most of the international students, they might face an issue when they're coming to the US for the first time. But like I mentioned, the best thing about KU is like you have a diverse crowd, people from all across the globe. So even if you're forced to, the good thing that happens is you have to speak English. So it will improve for sure. And just for the facts perspective, KU is one of the best debate clubs in the US as well. So you have a lot of resources here. You have a lot of people who are ready to contribute towards making it better. And the Applied English Center, it is a particular institute that makes sure that you're improving in your English. And they have really diverse tutors and students from different parts of the globe. One of my classmates, he's from China. He found it really difficult with English when he came in the beginning. But right now, guess what? He is one of the tutors at the Applied English Center because he has improved so much in 8 months that they have made sure that he is leading a group which is people from his part of the globe. So you won't feel really awkward when you're going there. Don't worry that you're going to meet people from the Europe or US whom you might find really difficult to interact. You will be grouped along with people who are from around your geography so that you don't feel much bad and you'll improve leaps and bounds in few months. So no worries about language. You'll be fine with that.
Great. Now, when you first came to KU, what was the biggest challenge that you encountered, or the biggest adjustment that you had to go through when you started out?
Well, I think the first thing was homesickness, of course. As an undergraduate student, I just came out from high school, and especially in Latin America, we live with our parents, even if we're in college. And here, American students, when they study in university, they live by themselves in the residence. So the first thing I had to go through was homesickness, and at the beginning it was hard. I bet a lot of internationals have these problems, but the good thing is KU offers you this. There are some programs like these organizations that I told you, where all these international students, they have the same problem. So if you share your problems with them, they will help you a lot. And if the thing that you find someone who has the same problems as you, it's really nice. And you will go through homesickness later. I use Skype with my parents, and it's really good. I Skype them like 4 times a week, or sometimes email. You can always call them, and if you are from a country, and you will find other fellows from your country, and it's really good. I think KU has a lot of international students from the same country here. So if you ever feel homesickness, yes, you can contact them, and they're really nice. So you feel like home.
Being someone who had worked for a few years after my undergrad, what I would say is if you want to come to the US for the first time, come as a student. Because the student community is really good. They'll make sure that you're not finding it that difficult to adjust compared to if you're coming for the first time to work in the US. So there are some things that we can't avoid as such homesickness. You'll miss your mom, you'll miss your mom's food, you'll miss your friends, but it'll just be for a few days or weeks. After that, you have a lot of wonderful friends here from all across the globe. You'll get to interact with the culture. There'll be people from your culture as well if you're fearing that you'll be the only person. And you'll be a superstar if you're the only person from your culture. I know a lot of friends who are the only ones in the university from their countries, and everyone just loves them because everyone is just waiting to meet someone from a different culture or different country whom they haven't met. And like I told before, I have friends from 30 different countries. So that is something huge. I mean, you wouldn't even have the time to think that you are feeling lonely or you're finding bad about it. And if you're coming as an undergrad, I think the first year you have to stay in residential hall, right? So
It's
because
not
of
required, but it's recommended.
recommended, and I feel most of them are doing that as well.
Right. Yeah.
The good thing about that is you'll get to interact and you'll get to know a lot of people from probably your same course or from people who are facing the similar issues. So you wouldn't have much issue with that. You'll be fine.
Great. Speaking of residence halls, let's talk about housing and where you live and what that process was like. So it might be a little bit different for each of you. So if you want to talk about your
Right.
housing
So
experiences.
if you want to live on, you are free to decide if living in campus or campus. The first year I live in scholarship halls. These are residents that you live with 48 other people. And it's like a big house. We have our dining area, we have our living area, and we cook for us. So we make shifts. You can either clean the rooms or clean the hallway, or you can cook. And these are really less cost compared to the residence halls. And also the interaction with your roommates are closer because it's like a house. They are your brothers. My second year I switched to the residence halls. I want to experience the residence hall experience. And our residence halls are more outgoing, I believe. And I think with the residence halls, they are closer to campus. and they do a lot of events. My third year, I moved forward and I live in an apartment now. I think most of the upper level students do that. They go to an apartment and now you have your own room. You don't have to share with a roommate, but you can still live with other roommates with different rooms. And even if you are off campus, and I know this because a lot of international students cannot afford a card, it's okay because KU buses go all over Lawrence and they are free for KU students. So even if you live 20 minutes, 30 minutes away, you can find a bus every 10 minutes. Or you can sometimes walk. It's not that far away. You can use a bike.
The good thing that I felt coming to KU when it comes to your accommodation is Lawrence, the cost of living is really affordable, so you wouldn't face much of an issue compared to some of the bigger cities in the US. So there are several options here. You can either stay in residence halls or you will find a lot of apartments around the campus. And the good thing is, I don't know whether it is there in the other universities as well. KU provides the accommodation if you want for the first week at a really low cost, I guess. So by then you'll be able to find a good accommodation. You can either stay within the campus or a lot of facilities right next to the campus. And like you mentioned, the transport facility is really good. So even if you want to go around like late in the evening, there are some really good facilities which will make sure that even if until you get a car or any other private vehicle, you won't be lost in the city.
Wonderful. Now I know you have to get to class here in just a few minutes,
Yeah.
so I'm going to ask you guys a final question and then we'll switch it back.
Yes, sir.
So the final question is, what advice do you have for students who are kind of navigating this search process? And it can be either specific to KU or even in general about, how to make that decision of where to study. So.
Well, I use when I was searching for a university or my major. Of course, internet is really good, but I would recommend go to each university webpage, especially if you go to the KU webpage and go through to look for your major, look for what are the courses you are gonna take. They are posted there. If also you're looking to see you wanna do sports, maybe look for what resources the university has. For example, KU has Ambler Recreation Center. This is like a big rec center, and you can do sports there when you're free time. If you look about organizations that you want to belong, like maybe you want to draw, do it for fun as a hobby, or you want to be a leader, go also look for student organizations in the university, and also look for KU the route buses. Like if you feel like you will use a lot of the buses rather than the car, look for a route in your city.
The biggest challenge whenever it comes to admission to a university would be to do research on the university. So one advice that I would give is to not just focus on your department or whatever you're interested in, but also try to find about the tradition of the university, because that is something that will bind the students, everyone, and the alumni together, irrespective of what is the department. So I had a lot of inhibitions before I came here. I was not really sure whether I'll get a lot of opportunities, but since I did good research on the tradition of KU, I was confident that even if my department, I'm not able to find a lot of opportunities, I'll definitely find a lot of KU grads or Jayhawks like we call, who will definitely invite me without much trouble. And another thing would be just see if the cost of living is affordable for you and not just look at the fee, because I have a lot of friends who went to universities where they thought the fee is lesser, but overall when we kind of cancel together the cost of living, the academic fee, and the other additional costs, it kind of balanced out. So don't just focus on one area, try to see some of the other things rather than just the departments, whatever you're looking for.
Wonderful. Well, thank you both so much for sharing your experiences. And yeah, we'll go ahead and switch it back. And
Thank you.
absolutely, thank you.
All right, thanks a lot. Rock chalk.
Okay.